Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video. And, I didn't know if I was going to make a video about this specifically, which is I didn't really touch on it on when I was talking about Raw Netflix, this past, the last video I made on Raw. But because of some of the news that has come out now in the aftermath of this, I have decided to reluctantly talk about the Hulk Hogan issue, the elephant in the room. Okay, now before I get started, I do have to talk about the obvious here. Even though I really try not to talk about political issues on this channel, specifically. There's been a couple things where I've mentioned specific things on my community posts, my community post on YouTube, on certain things, but, I've always tried to be vague on specific issues because, again, this is a fictional media type YouTube channel. We talk about a lot of the fictional medias, whether it be WWE, anime, cartoons, all that news stuff. Obviously NFL too, which is real, but, football. But again, we try to talk about things, fun stuff. We try to talk about fun stuff here. We don't try to get into the real world politics stuff here. But because this video kind of is going to have to specifically get into this when we talk about Hulk Hogan because of it's kind of one of the reasons why he was booed. But nonetheless, I do have to kind of bring it up, unfortunately. So, yeah, again, yes, warn right now about that. So, getting into this about Hulk Hogan since 2015, I think it was, has become a very, very polarizing figure to the wrestling community. For anybody who does not know, Hogan's post-career, following, him really hanging up his boots for good, whether he wanted to or not, Hulk Hogan's fame started to decrease when he decided to sue Gonker because of alleged him being filmed. And that's really all I can say, just that he was filmed. But I can't say specifically of what, obviously. So you're just going to have to look it up for yourself. But I highly recommend you don't. And then again, but you're warned. Anyways, so he was sued by Gonkers, and he sued Gonkers, and he won that lawsuit. But during the lawsuit, which came out around 2015, it was revealed that Hulk Hogan said some racist, insensitive things to his sister, to his daughter, Brooke Hogan, in about specific things that, again, I can't specify here because, again, it's YouTube and you know how YouTube is. So if you want to know what he actually said, well, you can look it up. As a matter of fact, I'm sure you can actually find the recording somewhere, since that was leaked as well too. But ever since then, this is where the downfall of popularity for Hulk Hogan started, really. So after these racist, insensitive comments that were, shown online, Hogan was instantly fired and allegedly was removed from the Hall of Fame. Now, I thought this was a little extreme for the Hall of Fame aspect. Him being fired didn't surprise me, but him being removed from the Hall of Fame, I thought that was a little eccentric. Once you're in the Hall of Fame, you should stay in the Hall of Fame. And again, just because you're fired from the company doesn't mean that you should be removed from the Hall of Fame. Like, you don't have to do business with the guy anymore, but that doesn't mean you should be removed from the Hall of Fame. That was kind of always my stance on that. There were a lot of guys that are in the Hall of Fame right now that aren't currently doing anything with WWE in terms of working with them. So I never agreed to that, but Hogan was temporarily removed from the Hall of Fame. About 2 years, I think it was about 2 years or 3 years later, he was brought back into the fold. Because I guess in WWE's mind at the time, that was enough time for him to be quote unquote punished from the company, which, I mean, again, whatever, but I mean, that also, see, that's the thing too. Just because WWE's 3 years of Hogan being fired was enough time for them to not have him in the company doesn't mean that the fans and the other people that he works with has to accept his apology. And that was one of the things I think is miscontrived about the whole racial insensitive statements he made back in 2015, is that a lot of people think that, after 3 years, it's okay now to bring him back. Again, that's fine. That's a company decision. But at the same time, that does not mean that the people around him or the fans have to forgive him, which kind of for the most part have not. He did get cheered for when he made his return to pay tribute to Mean Gene Okerlund, which I thought was the right thing. I don't think it was. I don't think the fans should have booed him for that night, because that was supposed to be about Mean Gene, and obviously Mean Gene had been around Hogan for most of his career, so I think that kind of made sense. But then when he came back for WrestleMania 37, which was in Tampa, Florida, state of Florida, by the way, he was booed. So getting to the Netflix appearance, him being booed really shouldn't surprise anybody. People want to just say that, it's because it's California, it's in LA, it's in California. Because of that, that's what led to the boos. And I'm here to tell you, no, it's not. Because again, he was booed in his own state. In his own home state, he was booed. Okay, so this whole idea that Hulk Hogan would be cheered like in red states, for example, Republican lean states, is a myth. Personally, going on this whole idea, because he was there to promote his little stupid American beer thing or whatever. All I gotta say is, WWE, what the hell are you guys doing? Why the hell are you investing in some beer that Hulk Hogan did and not investing beer in the guy who actually created a gimmick around beer, Stone Cold Steve Austin? I guarantee you, if they would have gotten business with Stone Cold's beer, they would have gotten way more people that want to drink beer. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm straight edge, so I wouldn't buy it regardless. But there are a lot of people that would buy Stone Cold Steve Austin's beer. Okay? A lot of people would buy Stone Cold Steve Austin's beer. Who the hell wants to buy Hulk Hogan's beer? Okay? Hulk Hogan never had a gimmick around beer. Stone Cold Steve Austin did. Like, he literally would drink beer after every match he won. Okay? So why are we even doing this to begin with? Okay, So that's one of the questions here. WWE has been really disrespecting Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, he didn't appear at WrestleMania 40, which he should have. Okay, I like The Undertaker, but I mean, come on. Stone Cold Steve, that should have been Stone Cold Steve Austin's spot. Like, nobody cannot say that Rock's number one rival ain't not Stone Cold Steve Austin. Undertaker obviously had a rivalry with Rock too, but not nearly as much as Stone Cold did. Okay? And now, for the first night of Netflix, we don't get Stone Cold on this show either. Like, where the hell is Stone Cold Steve Austin? And I don't want to hear this, that, oh, Stone Cold's busy, and he's got some other things going on. I really think that's just excuses, because they just are really not wanting to bring Austin on. The guy who literally saved your company in the Attitude Era, which, by the way, Hulk Hogan was trying to get rid of when he went to WCW, went to the competition. Austin was the one who got your business right back in track. And what do? You pick this guy over Austin? You pick this guy over Austin, really? Who has this checkered past? So let me get into this right here. Let's break this down, getting back to Hulk Hogan. Because apparently, according to Daily Mail, which has been reported by multiple wrestling journalists now, is that the word on the street is that going forward is that Hogan is going to be a heel, and he's going to manage like a future wrestler. We don't know who, but he's going to manage like a heel wrestler, basically. And that supposedly this was Hogan's idea. This was all Hogan's idea. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the heel. I'm gonna do the heel thing. I'm gonna do the NWO, right? NWO black and white or whatever. So here's the thing. They weren't booing him because they wanted to see the NWO again. They weren't booing him because they wanted to see a heel Hulk Hogan. That's not why they were booing him. They were booing him because of the years of bullshit that's been going on with Hulk Hogan. The lies. Okay, we already talked about the racist stuff. We talked about the Gonker stuff. Just recently on the Netflix documentary, Hulk Hogan publicly admitted, to, stopping Jesse Ventura from unionizing, which, don't get me wrong, we already knew that, but we never actually publicly heard Hulk Hogan admit it. Vince McMahon said it on deposition, and then said it on Larry King again, that he did it. But Hulk Hogan would never publicly admit it, even though it's literally in court record from Vince McMahon. Okay, his boss told him, told Jesse that yes, it was Hulk Hogan. And so now Hulk Hogan has publicly admitted it from his mouth that yeah, I wasn't going to let him unionize. I wanted the money. So again, Hulk Hogan is just basically saying that he doesn't give a shit about working class people. He doesn't give a shit about people that work their ass off, and that he wanted all the money to himself. And also, Jesse Ventura just recently brought this up too in an interview, and it's so true. Does Patrick Mahomes in the NFL make more money than the other football players? Doesn't he? Exactly. And guess what? In the National Football League, in football, they have a union. Okay? So this whole bullshit argument that Hulk Hogan was going to lose the money and he wasn't going to get paid as much is a bunch of malarkey, because the top guys are going to get paid more than the mid-card guys or the lower card guys. Yes, they were going to have to figure it out. They were going to have to figure out the structures of how the union was going to work. in wrestling. Like if they were, back then it was still kind of viewed more as a sport, because wrestling hadn't been exposed yet as a work. Um, so maybe they would have had a sports type more union. I know a lot of people say it would have had been more like the Screen Actors Guild, but I don't think it would have been. I think it would have been more like a sports union, had they done it. They would have probably had to like say it was a sports entertainment thing, which I don't even think that had been officially a term yet. That was created by Vince McMahon, but they would have had to probably have customized it in a certain way. But I do believe it would have been more on the sports side of a union. I don't think it would have been more of an acting union. But again, that's the great thing about unions. You're going to have to create something. You're going to have to create something that is happening. Starbucks right now is going through that union phase. Okay. Right now with certain locations, they obviously have to figure out the structure of what union is going to be going forward for Starbucks, right? It would have been the same thing for professional wrestling. Obviously, it hadn't been done before, so they would have had to figure out what the levels of the money would be coming in for like the wrestlers and stuff like that, in terms of the top tier wrestlers versus the lower card wrestlers. But it would have happened, and that's how you would have gotten paid, okay? Just like how Patrick Mahomes gets paid more than, Brock Purdy, for example, which Brock Purdy should be getting, some more money this offseason. But regardless of what Brock Purdy gets this offseason, he's not going to make more than Patrick Mahomes, okay? You know what I'm saying? So that's how it should work. Whoever the top guys are going to get the money. But again, Hulk Hogan didn't care about that because Hulk Hogan only cared about himself. He never thought about anybody else. The only other people that he would have thought besides himself was other guys that could benefit him and help him, if he needed help, in terms of, having like a clique, the clique before the clique, right? Hulk Hogan had his clique. Hulk Hogan, believe it or not, did have a clique, okay? Before, Triple H and Shawn and Kevin and Scott had their clique. Hulk Hogan had his own clique. You know what I'm saying? To make sure, that he would stay on top. Because you have to have that. You have to have that if you're going to stay on top. Because otherwise you're going to have people that are going to be like, it'd be in the boss's ear. So Hulk Hogan always made sure he had his own clique. So that's the thing, that's a lot of the outlandish lies that he's made about certain things, within storylines that aren't true. He's done that. Again, we've talked about the politics stuff. We talked about Gonkers. We talked about, we talked about the racist stuff, which is probably the biggest thing that has gotten him booed. But in terms of the combination of all the elements, plus he was wearing a MAGA shirt before he got to the arena. Okay, he was literally wearing that. He was showing it off. Like the video got posted online. Then, of course, as we all know, Hulk Hogan did not wear that shirt for the segment, for the promo, but the damage was done. Because him wearing that shirt reminded the audience of who he was. And so, of course, they were going to boo him. All these elements, all these past transactions, I don't think it was one specific thing to why Hulk Hogan was booed. I think it was a combination of everything. And people are just sick and tired of it. Undertaker supported Donald Trump and did not get booed. Okay? Because Undertaker doesn't have all this baggage. He didn't go to the convention and, brag about Trump like he did. He, had him on his podcast. He gave him a little endorsement on his Instagram, and that was it. Undertaker didn't. That's why Undertaker was cheered. And Undertaker doesn't have all this other baggage of lying, preventing unions from being unionized, racist statements. He didn't have any of that. And this is why Hulk Hogan was booed. Okay? This is the facts on facts of why he was booed. Okay? It doesn't matter what state he's in. It doesn't matter what city he's in. He's going to be booed because of this. And the idea that supposedly Hulk Hogan thinks that him being a heel is going to change that. Oh, well, them not reacting would have been much worse. That's the Vince McMahon mindset. Is like, oh, this is the reason why Roman Reigns was pushed obsessively for 6 years. It was like, oh, well, yeah, they're not cheering, but they're booing, so they're creating some type of reaction, even though that's not the reaction they wanted for Roman Reigns. Okay? So this whole mindset is such a stupid argument. He's going with the same thing that Vince thinks, which, again, I don't agree with, and most fans don't agree with, which is why it's a good thing why Vince McMahon is not in charge anymore, because he continues to think that. But yeah, Hulk Hogan, he's being booed because people are sick and tired of him. They're sick and tired of his bullshit, okay? His lying, his conniving, and the fact that he's surprised. I think there was I think somebody said that he had said to Jimmy Hart, but I didn't see it. But he had looked over to Jimmy Hart and said, "Oh, they hate you that bad." He is so inconceited of his own bullshit. The idea that he is this ignorant to think that, oh, it may be Jimmy Hart that's being booed. No, it's not Jimmy Hart that's being booed. It's you. It's you, Hogan, that's being booed. You're being booed because of everything that has gone on in the past 10 plus years of all your controversies. Okay? And people are just fed up with it. They're fed up with it. And if he thinks that the NWO black and white is going to change that, then I think you're all in a rude awakening. Okay? If you think that. So, that's my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys think. I'm out. I'm the Ultimate Goku. Comment, rate if you like all the videos. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for the latest content. Thank you. I am the Ultimate Goku. I'm out of here. Peace, brother.